8:30. Okay. So I'm not going to be on long, but I did promise y'all that when I did this, I would show you what I do. Look at my hair. Okay, there we go. So I did promise that when I did this, I would show you all what I do so that if you all want to do the same thing I do, you all can do the same thing I do if you would like to make some money. So I'm sitting here with just a few craft items and a wreath. Hi, Clancy. I'm sitting here with a few craft items and a wreath that I purchased at the Dollar Tree, which is just a wreath that kind of looks like a cinnamon broom on the back. Nothing super special. I'm thinking we can get 2, maybe 3 different things out of this. So that's what I'm going to shoot for today. Hey, April. I had to title that because, you know, crafting is such a big draw. I mean, it's such a big draw that I don't want them to think that I'm just here to craft. I want them to know that I'm using my clout chasing to promote my crafting. Because even though I know crafting is such a huge draw on the internet, social media, I mean, it just brings in such huge crowds. Hi, Priscilla. It brings in such huge crowds. I don't want them to confuse what I'm doing when I'm crafting. Because when I'm crafting, I'm actually clout chasing. You see, I just sprinkle a rapper's name through some of my videos because I know that the largest demographic of crafters, you know, those middle-aged women who like to do things with glue guns and flowers, we like to make gnomes. We're the largest demographic in rap fans. You didn't know that? You didn't know that? Oh, we are. We make up at least 3%. Punctuation by something falling. We make up at least 3% of the rap fan demographic. So I don't want you to confuse what I'm doing. I know my crafts are better than Martha's. You know? I mean, I could probably get some insider trading tips just as easy as she did because I'm pretty daggum crafty. But I just want you all to know from the depths of my heart that when I come here to craft, actually what I'm doing is asking as 3% of rap fans that are domestic middle-aged crafting women to help me build my base. Because when I say I'm crafting, it means I may or may not be having a conversation with Ryan Upchurch. I mean, because you never know what I'm going to do when I pull out a glue gun. This could be a mock telephone that I'm going to talk to Ryan Upchurch on. You never know. I mean, I bring you here and then I confuse you with such mixed symbols. You just don't know what I'm up to. I mean, look, do you have any idea what I'm doing? I have a glue gun, I have scissors, I have a crafting wreath, and I have UV resin. Oh, but wait, this is a really confusing one. I have Spanish moss. You don't know what I'm fixing to do. You have no clue. Y'all are just here because you know that middle-aged women that do these things are the largest rap fan demographic. And so y'all just sit here and wait thinking Ryan's going to pop into my chat. You know, it's not my fault y'all get it wrong. You know? I mean, you should have picked up on this sooner. We all know that every other song Ryan sings has some kind of code language for glue guns and mothers that like to make gnomes that look like their children. We all know that, right? Like it's written all across his lyrics, everywhere. I mean, I don't know how to keep this a secret anymore. It's just gotten so big and out of control. I mean, I just have to face reality and say, listen, you know, domesticated women that are disabled, we run the world. We do. Klaus Schwab calls me for pointers when he wants to, like, really rip into another nation. He called me to get pointers on how to design his last book cover, and I told him, Klaus Schwab, with pottery and with home decor, you can't go wrong with a blue and white, simple, elegant blue and white pattern. So I think you need to make blue and white your next book pattern too. Because Klaus Schwab even knows that middle-aged domesticated crafters, we run the world. So, if you thought you were coming here for chit-chat and just a nice personality and maybe gleaning some knowledge from my last days, when I was a parole officer and a counselor and dealt with addiction issues and violent behavior, I have much more impact on the world when I disassemble fake flower wreaths. You know that, right? Every time I pull a petal out of this wreath and place it somewhere else, I'm actually symbolically pulling apart pieces of society and putting them back together the way I want them to be. I have that power. I could do this for hours. I could do this for hours. Just read. Oh, Lord. Hi, everybody. I just had to do that. I just had to. Woo! I mean, you think if they thought I was really clout chasing, that I would be like, look here, look how cute I can be, that I would be like maintaining my sight. I would be like maintaining my sight, and even when I'm sick in the hospital, I would have like backup videos to post because that would be important, right? Even when I'm sick and having flares at home and bedbound, I would have material to put out because it's so important, right? But I take like 2-week hiatuses because I get to where I can't walk because my MS crap, like stuff, that RSD that I have, like MS, it freezes me up and I can't get out of bed and I can't walk and I'm bedbound and my friends have to come sit with me and help me go tinkle when I need to go tinkle, pot, pot. But I have such an established channel that I don't have to worry about that. Because I have such clout. I don't have to worry about not coming back. It's always come back because I am the demographic that runs the world. I don't know how everybody missed this. The new Betty Crocker method. I'm telling you. Yeah, and Pillsbury too, because when they actually pushed his tummy, it wasn't a tummy, it was a button. It was a button that controlled everyone's brain. We just never told you that. We just wanted it to look good. Optics are a big thing. My leaves are screwing up. Now, this is making me mad. It's got to look pretty. But I get tickled at people. Oh, look. Ha ha, that's cute. So they get on the internet and they're like, he's disrespectful to this person's family. I can't deal with it emotionally. And everyone that says his name is just clout chasing. But I've spent the last 4 days. I've been awake 72 hours of those last 4 days. And I've responded to every live stream he's done. He won't talk back to me. And then a woman comes on and makes a very unbiased statement that I thought was going to make people go, oh, yeah, it goes both ways. Oh, snap. Either I'm a freaking evil genius or we got some dumb people on this planet. Now, I know myself pretty well, so I'm going to go with option B there. I think we got some dumb people on this planet. So I know I'm not an evil genius. I would be sitting here with a fake leaf in my head looking at a freaking rectangle box. So, I don't know. The more and more I deal with society since I've left my professional life, the more and more I feel sorry for the world my grandbaby's going to have to maneuver. I mean, she's really gonna have to maneuver through this world carefully, because an unbiased statement that confirms every person's right to privacy and boundaries and being treated like a person can't even be read as a true statement. It has to be turned into I don't even think they read it. I don't think they processed what they read. I don't even think they could process what they read. I'm going to start pulling. What I'm going to start doing with this thing is just popping all the leaves and flowers off. So the first thing you do before you assemble things is you disassemble things. Like, the Roman Empire. So we're going to pop all the flowers off of this wreath. Don't worry if you make a mess or if you rip something. Hey, we got glue gun. We got time. It's okay. We put it back together. We're just going to take all this foliage off of here. But I don't think people even read it. I think that they just saw somebody that said, I'm praying for you, or you deserve privacy, boundaries, a stable environment. I'm telling you, girl, why aren't you out cloud chasing? I'm trying to explain to everybody that I am the demographic that rules the world. Us old women that get on here and craft, you don't know the symbols that we have in here. We are sending messages to these rap stars, these lyrical geniuses, because we're telling them what to write. Because my age is the demographic that rules the world. We just try to really make ourselves look humble so you don't suspect it. But all of this is code. You know what I had to say about all the people that were nasty about my very unbiased and even keel response? There we are then. And they definitely are not my purse. So that's where I am with them. But it's very enlightening, isn't it? Because I've said this before, and if you all have been with me very long, you've heard it many, many times. If you offer kindness or positivity or even equal love and just you look at everyone the same, you will get hated immediately if you offer love or just an unbiased, substantial, nice response to someone. You will be hated. You will be attacked for being positive. But if you go on there and spew hate, you are celebrated. Hi, Natalie. What does that say about our nation? What does it say about our society? Well, it either says they can't read or they're emotionally unstable. Now, I'm assuming since they're looking up things and typing in the search box that they do have enough capacity to write and read. Both, yeah, maybe both. Google and autocorrect and that predictive text stuff has really ruined us, right? But it's so funny because they're like, how dare he talk bad and attack anyone? He's just made a mockery of all of this. And then they go on and they go, and you're just clout chasing. I've looked at your channel. You're clout chasing. You've looked at my channel. Have you looked at my channel? Really? Because it's crafting lives. Now, granted, I think crafting is a very important part of life because I have now crossed the age gap into the oblivion where Hobby Lobby basically is a crack dealership. Let me just be honest. I will buy anything. I bought dry pieces of wood when I married to a lumberjack the other day. My God. Yeah, saying that's it. But how do you make assumptions that faulty? I mean, if you looked at my channel for 5 minutes, you would see that, number one, I'm not very high tech. I don't even make thumbnails. I make stupid faces at y'all, which I hope you appreciate because sometimes I really do pull them out of my honey. Sometimes I'm really making faces. But if you looked at my channel, I'm not tech savvy. I don't make thumbnails. I do tag people if I speak their name or talk about them, because I think they should know if someone's speaking their name or talking about them, they should have the opportunity to respond. So I normally do tag people when I speak about them, if I think they're able to communicate. I'm losing my capacity to think most of the world can communicate. That's draining. That's like a fart in the wind at this point. It's gone. Never even got a whiff of that one. Oh, Cindy, you were Tommy Lovey today? You're a polysubstance abuser. As I sit here pulling up popsicle sticks. Oh, goodness gracious. I really hope these people that think they know me watch my channel for 5 minutes. They're going to be like, oh, frig, I look stupid. I got a real good kick out of that one. I thought, man, and I am lucky because Ron does appreciate what I say. I'm lucky because he doesn't have to appreciate what I say. He doesn't have to pay attention to anybody, but he appreciates what I say. And he in turn has the capacity and the ability to affect people with his lyrics. So I feel very special that someone that has the ability to really affect people looks for people that are trying to really affect people. I mean, I'm like, thank God. Because he could be like all these other douche canoes out there. So, yeah, I feel special when he responds and is kind and sweet. And honestly, if you ever talk to the boy, you will realize he is kind and sweet and genuine. He is not harsh. Basically, you get to sit down and choose what side of him you meet, because he will respond to whatever energy you give him. And if people would just realize that, that's how all people respond. Just most people don't have a set big enough to be as honest as he is. So I like his honesty. Do I do everything he does? No. Sometimes do I go, oh, why did you do that? Yeah. But I stand by what I said this morning. He deserves boundaries like everyone else. And that sadly, most people think boundaries only go one way. And I think that in the midst of me trying to write a comment that would maybe make people think and come to realization, I think I generated a huge movement that actually just showed the stupidity of people that can't even realize they got their foot put in a snare because they responded to such an even kill and unbiased statement, and they responded with such hate that they basically told on themselves. They don't seek out dialogue and communication. They don't seek out any kind of equitable behavior between people. They seek out the kill. So, I mean, they're just sitting there saying that other people are doing what they're actually doing. But they don't want to talk about what they're doing. They want to focus on what other people are doing, so they can keep doing what they're doing, because as long as they're focusing on other people doing it, they don't have to focus on themselves doing it, and they get to do it, but they get to focus on other people doing it. Because as long as I'm focused on somebody else's problem, I don't have to fix my own. So much easier to focus on other people's problems than to fix my own. Right? I mean, that gets us so far. Like when my car is broken down, I fix somebody else's because that fixes mine. Do y'all do that too? Right? When you got a water leak, you fix your neighbor's water pipe because that fixes your leak too, right? Right? Anybody see the stupidity here? No? Really? Yeah, I got kind of concerned for humanity this morning. I thought, oh, yeah. Okay, well, we're either illiterate, willfully ignorant, or just a hate mob waiting to occur. At this point, I think we're just a hate mob waiting to occur. Oh, people communicate. They don't listen. They wait to react. They don't listen to respond. They just need a keyword and maybe a hot catchphrase and we're off on an AOC embargo with 5,000 phobic words and being terrified of everybody. But when you ask them, what did I say that upsets you? It goes out into the ether because they don't really know what upset them. They just were already upset and they needed a target. Haley, Ron's a pretty smart boy. I mean, like I said, he can get away with more words than most people on the internet because he can afford to take a prettier suit into the courtroom with him. So I know that he pushes his limits because he has the ability to do so. Now, most of us do not. I try to be the voice of reason. That's kind of who I am most of the time. But now I can be a surly old sarcastic hooch too if you want me to be. I mean, really, honestly. But I just thought, man, did I kick a hornet's nest this morning, and bless their hearts. They all flew straight out and went everywhere. But none of them were smart enough to realize they never stung me once. I'm like, you're telling on yourself. You're telling on how stupid you actually are. You missed it. You missed it by a mile. I tried to explain it. I was like, I'm talking about everyone in this case. Everyone has the same rights. Everyone. But it's not up to YouTube members and viewers to go and file charges on somebody and correct anything they feel has been violated in their world. They have to do it themselves. I don't know why we're forming mobs on YouTube and going after people when all that does is increase the hate, increase the emotional instability, increase the chance that it actually will negatively affect whoever it may be linked to. And it will just create an unstable environment to where no one can communicate. So that if it actually does go before a judge, the court will feel like it's a mockery of its time because it's going to have to sift through so much stupidity before they can get to the meat of the moment that they're probably going to dismiss it just because they think it's stupid and don't want to deal with it. So really what these people do is create such fluff that nothing can ever be handled correctly because everything is so stupid. Judges get tired of digging through stupid. I'm sorry. I've dealt with so many judges and had to work with so many judges. They get tired of digging through stupid. And they will at a certain point go, I'm sorry, I can't do anything with this. And dismiss it. Their time is money. And they're busy actually sentencing criminal offenders. And so when you waddle in and say, my feelings got hurt. Well, I think he might have hurt somebody else's feelings. The judge is going, oh, jeez. And he becomes a referee for an adult world who can't do anything. Oh, whoa, feelings. Whoa, I'm feeling pretty smart today, actually. I really got tickled with a guy. Let's see if I can cut this now. I got tickled with a guy that sent me a ghost message. So it shows up once on YouTube Studio when I log in, but then it disappears and I can't screenshot it or nothing. It makes me so mad. I wish I had warning. Because I'd love to share some of these doozies with you. But he told me today that the world was going to chew me up and poop me right out. Of course, he used different words. So I just made that little short, and I was like, boy, it's a good thing I am built like a mother freaking piece of corn. I'm just going to show up the most unexpected times and make you wonder, whoa, where did that come from? Now y'all seeing why I was a parole officer and dealt with violent offenders? Are y'all picking up my personality traits and dealt with these people now? Do you see it? Do you understand why they put me in that position? Can you imagine a murderer trying to argue with me? You don't trust me. You won't let me go out of town because you don't trust me. No, I don't trust you because you extinguish the life of another human being. If you want to be right on target, let's just call it like I see it. See, while I may think you can't handle yourself to go out of county on a weekend overnight trip, and I think you might have issues navigating society on this overnight encounter, I absolutely, factually know you have issues with other people and violent episodes. We're not going to challenge that yet, okay? We have a good fence around you for a reason. And it's not to keep you in the field, it's to keep everybody else out. And then they just look at me. And then they go, oh. I mean, you can't really fuss with me. But I get tickled with people that try. Oh, but what I really love are these kids that run the YouTube streets and like to act like adults. But what is even more entertaining are the adults that run the YouTube streets that act like children. It's really cute. You can always identify them because it will start off with like a maybe possibly balanced statement and then just disintegrate. Those are the adults. Because they think they start off strong and then they rush into their feelings and their emotions. The kids just brain vomit goobly gluck and spell half of it wrong or put numbers in words that don't belong there. Or say some stupid word that isn't even in the freaking dictionary 5 times. Those are the children. So I get really tickled when I get on YouTube a lot. I've got my wire cutters because I'm going to... Oh, insane babble baby. That's a trip to the past. I bet that, yeah, the most draining part of your job is dealing with people with no common sense. I'm there with you, buddy. I'm telling you, word salad. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's like AOC. And then the officer came to my door and said, "Where is she?" Yes, AOC, he was tense and nervous and worrying if you were safe because it's his job to maintain your safety. You dummy. You're going to run away from the man with a gun that's supposed to protect you, and you're going to go hide in the bathroom. You think the bathroom's going to protect you better than the officer with a gun, who might be a little aggressive and tenacious at the moment because he thinks you're in danger. Those emotions are normally there for a reason and normally help keep you safe. So let the man be angry. Those neurochemical response will do wonders for you if somebody is coming to get you. But you can't tell her that because it made her feel a certain way. And then she gets on Instagram and talks about it for 5 years. And I'm sitting there going, okay, but were you safe at the end of the day? And was anyone there to harm you? No? Oh, God, that took forever. God, if she was in therapy, she would be a gold mine for somebody. Because she would have to come back every day and spend at least 3 hours. I mean, talk about an ethical issue. I mean, you can literally milk her dry and make tons of money off her and never get anywhere. No. She would be a treadmill client. Lots of mileage. No movement. I just swept my whole kitchen floor is going to be this crap now, so yay. So what I'm doing now is I've cut it up here, and I'm going to try to find at least one more place to cut it, maybe two. Because what I'm going to do is turn this, well, probably just one. I like fluffy reefs, so probably just one more spot. I'm going to turn this into a couple of gnome door hangers. Now, will I get it all done tonight? I don't know. I can't have like crafts that don't make a mess. I either end up covered in fur or covered in whatever you want to call this crap. It would be nice if I could pick a hobby that was not such a detriment to my home. If y'all have any suggestions for hobbies that are not this messy, please let me know. Because I'm like 0 for 3 at this point. Everything I do is a mess. It's pathetic. Now, I think this costs $12 at Dollar Tree. But these little cinnamon brooms, the stuff that makes these little cinnamon brooms like this, if you buy a cinnamon broom, you're going to spend $10 to $20 something on a small cinnamon broom. So these are actually probably a great way to save money in the long run. If you like to make stuff like this, because them little freaking cinnamon brooms are worth their freaking weight in gold. I'm always amazed at what costs the most at craft shops. So I'm like, really? It's normally the things that can be mass-produced for the cheapest and that cost the most. And I'm like, I'm on to you people. I'm on to you. I mean, honestly, what are Hobby Lobby and Walmart but like cartels that just funnel illegal crap? That's a deep thought. That's a deep thought. There we go. Okay, now I have two pieces like this. Two little half circles. So basically what you want to do is just bend it up like that. And then what we'll do is just kind of redirect the broom stuff, because we're going to cover it with fall leaves anyway. It's not a big deal. We just kind of want to redirect it so it looks like a beard, but it's going the other direction. It's going the right way. And then we're going to take this little piece of wire that I clipped and we're going to fold it over. Here goes my hand strength. And we're going to fold it over. Whew. I had to rest 2.5 hours when I got home from a 45-minute drive to deliver a beaver hoop, because my left leg, I shopped while I was out. I went to the leather shop and the saddle shop. Bad places for me because I will shop. I will shop at those places. And so I got to have quite the fun little excursion today. I'm going to find this other little wire here and hook this sucker into it. But I found a bunch of stuff that David needed. Since I had to drive there, I was like, well, just tell me what you need and let me pick it up so we don't have to drive back anytime soon. So I have now been to the leather shop twice in 3 weeks, which is, if anybody has ever like monitored my health and how often I get out of the house, I'm winning. So I'm doing, that's like the best I've done in forever. I mean, I don't think I've gotten out of the house twice in 1 month and maybe a year. This is making a huge mess, but it's okay because, you know, hot glue fixes everything. We're going to stick all these things that have fallen out back in there, because we ain't going to waste nothing. Okay, so now I've got it pulled into a circle, and I'm just breaking and bending. I'm not trying to break. I'm trying to heartily suggest that it go the right way. Now, here's where my popsicle sticks come into play, because I know y'all thought I was crazy with popsicle sticks. I'm covered in twigs. So he's going to have on a hat. So I'm going to glue this to the back of here, this to the back of here, and then glue them puppies together so that when I put his hat on, his hat has a frame, and he will hold. And if I need to, I can wrap twine or jute around these for extra hold, okay? So I'm totally cheating. I'm using what's already made, and I'm breaking it apart, and I'm going to try to turn $12.50 or $12 or however much this was. I'm going to try to... Don't you push that button, Oscar. You go lay down. No. Don't do it. Don't do it. If he pushes his button, it's his potty button, and it says, I gotta go poop. And I really don't want y'all to hear that. So, but every time I'm busy, he thinks, oh, I can leave the house now and sneak out, and she won't find me until I've gotten into whatever I want to get into. I'm not gonna let him do it. But I'm taking a $12 to $15 item. You're so glad you didn't miss this. I swear I'm not tired. I had a little nap. You know I had a little nap. I went blipped off the radar for a minute, didn't I? I don't know. I'm just at the point where I'm not angry anymore. I'm just seeing the stupidity, and I'm just like enjoying the show. At this point, if I had good teeth, I'd be eating popcorn. You want to know why I don't have good teeth? Because when I was 17, I was halter breaking a about 700-pound limousine bull. And he's a little bull calf. Well, he wasn't little, he's big. And he was supposed to be the bull calf that was going to be showed to represent the school farm and the school's herd of limousine cattle. So I was halter breaking him because that's what I did for a living when I was a teenager. I halter broke show cattle. I showed sheep. I showed cattle. I showed horses. And I trained horses as well. And I got really comfortable around this bull calf. I've been working for a long time. And I thought we bonded. I thought we bonded. No, we had not bonded. No. Bob is pushing Oscar's button. We had not bonded. So I had to take him, because he was learning to respect being tied, because you can't take a bull to a show unless he respects to be tied, because otherwise you're just taking a ton of hormones and saying, cause me problems, you know. So these guys have to be really respectful of you. I'm going to glue these while I'm talking. So I was teaching him straight tie. So I was actually tying him to the center pole of the barn when I was not hands-on working with him, so that he had to learn, because that center pole of that barn ain't moving, and neither was the leads I used and the knots I tied. And he had to learn, oh, when she puts me here, I'm here. Yes, ma'am. Well, he learned that. He had learned when she puts me here, I'm here. He had also learned that when she brings me my 2 buckets of water several times a day, because he would just suck them down, she completely forgets that I'm dangerous. Yep, I was being stupid, and he caught on to it. Respect. Smart bull. So when I went to drag him, I'm gluing and holding now. When I went to drag him, his water, the last time in the evening when I was there to feed all the heifers and the cows and water him and work him for a few minutes, I had gotten almost everything done except for the last little bit of grain, throw it out to the heifers. And I went to sit down his 2 big buckets of water in front of him. And when I did, he took his pole and headbutted me and caught me right with his pole right there and knocked my 4 front teeth out. I finished feeding the heifers, washed my mouth out at the trough. My teeth were up in my gums. Oh, it's bad. Oh, it's bad. I finished feeding the cattle, drove myself home, to which my mother immediately had a fit, and I ended up at the dentist. They tried to save my teeth, and they kind of did for a little while. Like they stayed in. I had to go and have repeat dental work done several times, but every time they were like, oh, we think we're going to be able to save these. Oh, we think we're going to be able to save these. So I had root canals and everything, and they were basically useless, but we were hoping that they were just going to stay there. Right? Just stay there. Just stay there and don't rot. That was a whole plan. And I did fine. Even through my first pregnancy with Lane, they did fine. I thought, okay, I was getting to where I wasn't even thinking about it anymore. And then I got pregnant with Haley. And during my pregnancy with Haley, I gotta find string, hang on. During my pregnancy with Haley, where is my string? During my pregnancy with Haley, I started having issues with those teeth. Well, they can't do anything with teeth when you're pregnant. Y'all know that. Y'all know they can't do anything with teeth when you're pregnant. Because, I mean, that would just be beyond man's capacity. I mean, we apparently we can see people to the moon, but fix a pregnant woman's teeth? What do you think we are, wizards? So I had to go through the pregnancy very sick and miserable because of my teeth. And as soon as she popped out, I had to go to the dentist. They were like, we can't save these. They're too far gone. They're like, they're barely even hanging in there. And I'm like, I know they're loose. So they took them out. Now I'm just wrapping leather around here and tying a knot and going to glue it up the back of the popsicle sticks just as a secondary precaution. It doesn't have to be pretty because it's going to be hid. Story of my life. Crafty comedian. I'm telling y'all, when I get done with the world, my personality goes dark. And that's why I always tell you, I'm good until I'm done, and then I'm done. So maybe I'm just done for a while now. Maybe that's it. I'm just done. But so they took me out, and I had to wait 6 weeks for my gums to heal. That's how bad it was. So I was at home toothless raising a child. That was, something. Let me tell you what. If you ever want to feel like you ain't podunk, redneck, white trash, hillbilly enough, just go to the dentist and have to wait 6 weeks for the final fix of your teeth. It's great. It just makes you feel like such a person. Just such a person. Yeah, I babied mine for a while, but then when I was pregnant, it was just too much on them. So they took them out. I did heal. They did heal. My gums did. And so then I came back, and I was thinking they were going to give me implants. Implants, that bolt into your skull that look pretty. Yeah, no. Because I was still actively working horses and other livestock and living on a cattle farm at the time, they decided she's liable to get co-popped again. They were right. I got co-pox several more times. I never learned the lesson the easy way. No, not with animals. No. Ask my mother. Sadly, her kitchen view had the view of the paddock and arena where I rode my horses. And so every time I got rolled over, bucked off, chased, my mother saw it and had a conniption fit. So then I had to go back, and so they were like, so we fitted you for a partial. So I had, at the age of 21, I started life with a partial. And yeah, that's why I can't eat popcorn. That was a long story. Woo! I need to write a book. How long did my teeth? My teeth lasted about 3.5 years after the incident. I'm clout chasing again, I'm telling you. Crafting, you don't know the control. You think Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum are powerful? Middle-aged women and glue guns. That's how Martha Stewart rose to her power. You don't know how we worship her and the things we do. Bob is sitting in there going, I want none of this tonight. Bob's scared of me. Okay, so now I have this. That's all I have. I have this. I have basically a dunce cap on a half of a cinnamon broom wreath. Not anything impressive, mind you, but it will be cute. Just wait. So now I'm going to reach over here and get my leather remnants. I had fabric too, but I wanted to go with leather because if they want to hang these on their doors, this leather will hold up better and it will last longer. So I'm like, nah, I'll give you leather because I wouldn't want to make something and have it fall apart on my door. So, and I would just like to shout out to my husband who, when he cuts backs to key fobs, he leaves this crap behind. It makes me so mad. So yeah, men. Yeah. Okay, so I'm opening up this big piece of leather. We're not going to tell David I'm using this for a gnome. Not at all. We're not going to tell him at all. And I'm going to try to find an angle that will allow me to cut enough to cover both sides without wasting very much. I mean, the goal is without wasting any at all, but that's not possible. It's not possible. Okay. Yeah, so I've had a partial since the age of 21. But I had several more animal wrecks in there, you know, because I worked livestock for a long time. So I'm actually glad they did not give me implants because I probably would have ended up breaking my freaking skull and having to go in for like massive surgery or something. So, you know, kudos to them. They got it right. But everybody asked me what happened to the bull. This is where you get to know my personality. Okay? I pulled him off the show roster. I took the other two bulls that were slightly smaller but had the same great possibilities and had the same great conformation. And I picked the prettier of the two and put him into training. The bull that took my teeth out became a steer and then hamburgers. He was yummy. I win. And yes, y'all, that is my trip to Pattytown. He pissed me off. What do you expect a woman to do? Don't y'all love it when you get to know my real personality? He went to freezer camp. And he didn't learn any songs. Or have any arts and crafts. Okay, so now I've got just basically a huge wonky triangle. I'm going to put the good side in and fold the good side in. And all I'm going to do is glue this edge. And I may turn it up and cuff it and put a little hem at the bottom. It just depends on what it looks like when I slide it over this gnome's head. So, and if you want to be sensitive and tell me that I was a horrible human being for sending him to freezer camp, I'm going to be insensitive and tell you that grass-fed beef is the most wonderful thing you can eat. It's yummy. And I did every time I fried up a pack of him and hamburger helper or put me a steak on the grill. I thought, you little turd. And I enjoyed it. So there's my human behavior for the day. I know everybody's like, oh, that's awful, you're a horrible human being. Yeah. I really wonder if people think about how they would have survived back in the old days. This sensitivity crap's got to stop somewhere, right? It should. Right? I keep thinking maybe the world will go back just far enough to where people have to use their brains again, and then we all win. And then I have days like today, and I'm like, no, there's just going to be very few of us left. There's going to be very few of us left. Sounds good. If you watch Mandy Meadows on TikTok, and she does the Tammy in the trailer park that shows the trailers for the real estate agent. She'll have her cigarette hang in her mouth. She'll go, look good, don't it? And then she'll reply and go, it's damn good. It cracks me up, Lord, because I have supervised so many people that were just that character. It's just, everybody knows a Tammy from the trailer park. Yeah, they were really good burgers. Like right now, I'm like wanting to go visit my parents because my dad still has a cattle operation. I'm wanting to go visit mom and dad to raid the freezer. I raid the freezer every time I visit my parents. I was born in the wrong century too. Of course, with my health, I probably would already be dead if I was born in a different century, but I would have been much more useful for the first part of my life. I'd have been much more useful. I would have kicked butt in Pioneer Day. Let's just say that. So I get really tickled though. But I told that boy that thought I was clout chasing. I was like, I'd like blip off the radar for 3 weeks when my health is bad. And y'all know that there's some days my hands don't work well enough to where I can do anything. And so I'm literally at the whim of my health to whether I get to do anything during the day or not. Like today, I had a first time I've taken myself anywhere. I felt so goddamn free. I was so proud of myself. I mean, I was singing at the top of my lungs to the radio, having just a grand old time. Yes, it was death metal, and yes, the Amish people that were there were maybe a little terrified, but I was having a good time. I don't get out very much. So I was just rocking and rolling, having me an air guitar solo to Pantera Cemetery Gates right in the middle of Amish country, going to the leather shop. I'm a walking contradiction. And then I get home and my legs are like, psych. You must go lay down now, because we control you. So I went and had to lay down for a couple hours, and it was just to let my legs stop because my muscles started to freeze. They start to do this. My muscles, my nerves, feels like I have somebody go up and down my legs. It irritates the out of me. And then I feel my muscles going and winding up to and freeze. And I was like, we're not doing this. We haven't done this in a while. We're not doing this. I know I don't normally use you all this much, but we're not doing this. And me wanting to be the big heifer I am, not wanting to admit defeat, I did not take my cane or my walking aid. Because I know I can park in the handicapped spot because there's not police in Amish land. What are they going to do? Well, thou best not park there. So I park in the handicapped spot. And actually, I think it's a carriage marked spot. But anyway, I park where I can get right in the door. And then they know I don't walk well, so let me go through the door in the building into the other store. So I don't have to walk back out and around. They're really great people. And so I overdid a little. I had to look up and down every aisle. When you go somewhere and you don't have your husband in tow and you can actually go up and down every aisle, you take advantage of it. Because you don't always get to do that. 20 years of marriage, I'm here to tell you, if I take David, I only get to see about 3 aisles of any store I go into. Because then his face turns into a pretzel and he doesn't understand why I'm still in this store. Because have I not seen everything in 5 minutes? So I went down every aisle. Yeah, I did. I'm fixing to turn my hat inside out. That's what I'm doing. So I went up and down every aisle, talked, socialized. Sounds familiar. Talked and I socialized. And when I met those people there to swap the beaver hoop out, and some big bravado boy come in the leather shop and was like, and this guy, this man that makes these saddles, they're beautiful. Like back when I was 17, 18, I bought my first handcrafted saddle from a leathersmith. And it was like almost $1,300. I had to save for that one, buddy. But I had a Skip W. gelding that I had to put a top quality saddle on him. Now you just can't put trash on a Skipper W horse. Just my middle breakdown stage when she's looking at 10 different toilet papers. She's looking for a deal. That's what she's doing. She's doing math in her brain to make sure she knows which one is cheapest. But I had a Skipper W. gelding. His name was My Skipper 2B. He was beautiful. He was a sorrel with a flaxen mane and tail. He had the biggest, prettiest hip on him with one of them crease lines right down the butt cheek that just made me go, dang, you're pretty. I looked at that horse probably with more lust than I've ever looked at men. He was pretty. We'd go into halter classes and just sweep him. He was just beautiful. Now, homie tried to kill you, but when he went to the show, he was like, they're looking at me. I must behave. So we won everything. But now on the trailer at home, you were fair game. I'm just going to tell you. I got him late in life, and he was not trained very well. So we had to have a lot of come aparts and talkings with Jesus. Matter of fact, my dad went to shoe him one time, and he was old. And, I mean, he was 12 when I bought him. And I was like, oh, he's not going to be that bad. I had to teach him to straight tie. He was the biggest turd I ever owned. I would much rather have had a wingling that had never been touched. He was a turd, but he was gorgeous. Oh, he was pretty. And that's why I bought him. I looked at him from the field and said, oh, yeah, I'll take him. I was totally in love. Brought him home, and my dad called me. I was at work. The people dropped him off. And my dad called me. He's laughing. He's like, you're going to die. I'm like, you're listening to Guns N' Roses Dead? What's going on? And he's like, no, you're going to die. This horse is crazy. He said, he's out there trying to climb the fence right now. He said, I can't get him pushed into the barn to shut the door on him. He said, I don't know if the barn would last if we got him in the barn. I said, oh, he's just in a new place, Dad. Don't make it sound. My dad's a blacksmith now. My dad dealt with every kind of horse that was out there. He goes, you're going to die. I'm not calling people. We're going to take bets today. And I'm like, okay, Dad. Now, his biggest fault as a horse was he didn't straight tie. And he would be fine for 10 minutes, and then he would just, I don't know, flip out. And he had to learn that he could not have tantrums. So when you were riding him and you would ask him to go into a lope, he wanted to give you a little woohoo buck every time right before he went to the lope. Well, you know, that's not attractive in a Western pleasure class, so you really don't need him to do that. So I had to get him out of that woohoo buck before he went into a lope. And it was a battle of wills. It was who was going to tire out first, me or him. And I was afraid it was going to be me because we had worked for a couple hours and he was still doing it. And so every time he'd do it, I'd pull him into the circle and I'd get on to him and he'd be like, okay. And then he might take him to a lope, okay, one time. And then the next time he'd woohoo again. And I'd be like, dadgum you. So I thought, well, I'm going to have to, you know, he's going to have to learn that when he does that, he opens himself up for bad things to happen. So he's going to basically have to figure out that he's going to hurt himself if he doesn't stop this crap. Because right now he's just battling me. But if he thinks the consequence doesn't come from me, he's battling himself and he'll stop. Major light bulb moment with this horse. So the next time I felt him get off of 3 feet to start to go into the lope, but to throw his butt end up to go, woohoo! I pulled his head tight to my toe and I laid his butt down and I stepped off. And when he realized he was laying on the ground from his own stupidity, it scared the crap out of him. And I made him lay there for a minute. I didn't let him get back up. I made him lay there for a minute. I think I actually sat on him for a minute because I was tired. I made him sit there for a minute. I was like, you just chill, bub. I am the big kahuna and you will listen to me. And you're just going to sit there for a minute. And I took a break. And I actually think I sat on the saddle on him. I was like, I don't care. It was an old saddle I had him. I was like, I don't even care if you break the stirrup over there. I'm just happy you figured out, hey, I better stop. So after that, he was a lot better in the bucking capacity. But when you cinched him up, if you didn't have him tied tight, he'd want to turn around and bite you. And again, if you provided the consequence, it was just a battle between you and him. He had to provide his own consequence. So one day I took about 5 gazillion thumbtacks and duct taped them to my arm, right up through here. So the duct tape went on and the thumbtacks stuck out. They were flat against my skin, but they stuck out. And so when I went to cinch him up and he turned around to bite me, I didn't move. I didn't lash out. He just turned around and cut his lips up real good. And he was like, oh, what was that? That was new. Oh. And I was like, let him calm down. I let him know, okay, I'm going to fix him to cinch up again. Cinched him up again. He turned around a bit, and then he was like, oh. And he had a little bloody nose, but he figured out after about 3 times, that's not worth it. I ain't going to do it no more. And I was like, okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. And he didn't want a straight tie. I really don't know how he made it to 12, quite honestly. He was such a booger. I mean, it's a wonder he not put himself and someone else in a terrible situation and caused quite the issue. Because he was actually kind of dangerous. So I guess it's probably a good thing I got him because I was actually really decent with trouble animals. So it worked out really good for me, I guess. Okay, so here's his hand. You like his hand? That's his hand. So I'm just going to slide that puppy over there and glue it. I'm going to take it off, though, and put some glue on the back of these popsicle sticks and then be very careful and slide it and then pinch it at the top so that it stays on. Okie dokie. So now we had gotten him out of the buck and woohoo stage and we got him out of biting me when I cinched his saddle up, and I thought, we're making gains. We're doing great. This is wonderful. And my dad tied him in the barn to shoe him for me because I was going to take him to a show the next weekend. I'm out raking my paddock and everything's going fine. Dad's like 3 out of 4 foot done, and I'm like, oh, that went quicker, better than normal. I turn my back and I'm raking. All of a sudden I hear boom, 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 smash, boom. And then I hear my dad go, and I run to the barn door and my dad's standing there with his chaps and he's got his rasp in his hand. And the horse had done a somersault. He had tried to get away from Dad. He was fine. Dad was doing nothing. I actually had him barefoot. He had really good feet. So he's just shaping up his feet for the halter class so it'd stand pretty for me. He had reared up so hard that he had broke the quick releases on my chains, flipped, ass over elbow, through my tack room doors and was sitting like a dog in the tack room like this. And we just sat there and looked at him for a minute. Dad was laughing. He said, you're going to die. And I'm like, no, he's going to get over this. He's too pretty to be this stupid. I will not allow the first really pretty horse I have to be this stupid. And it was just like, you're gonna get through this. And so we got him out of the tack room, and he decided, okay, I better not do that again. So he taught himself a lesson that time. I was like, okay, that was only an $80 lesson. My cross tie was never the same. So then I get him to the show. And I'm thinking, okay, halter classes first. He leads like, there's not going to be a problem. But the next one I was going to do was the walk trot. Okay, still not a problem. Walk trot. We can walk, we can trot. And then the next one I was going to do was Western Pleasure. Well, guess what you have to do in Western Pleasure? You have to lope. And I was like, well, here's where we're fixing to learn if what I have done has reached this poor horse. Because I was in love with this horse, and I loved him. Paid way too much money for him, and I loved him. But he was my first real nice show horse. And I was so proud to have one that hadn't started off in a slaughterhouse pen that Dad had bought for $50 and brought home to me and said, here, turn that into something. And I would every time. He was fine in the halter class, stood there so pretty. He was like, oh, look at all these people looking at me. Hey, look, they're looking at me. And he would like cast his eye to me like, do you see him looking at me? Oh, I'm special. And I was like, You're a freaking bandy rooster. You're preening like a little peacock. And I thought, you little turd. He was great. He was great. Walk trot, perfect. And I thought, I hate this horse. He was perfect. And then we get to Western Pleasure, and I'm like, here's where we're fixing to have a crash. Rodeo. Here we come. And even my friend, who is now my sister-in-law, we milked that one, let me tell you. Even she looked at me when we was fixing to go into the arena because she was on her mare and I was on him, and she goes, well, been nice knowing you. And I was like, yeah, I know, it's going to be bad. And she went in ahead of me. And I went in and I thought, here we go. And I was just trying not to be tense. This is what I'm using for his nose, just a wood round. Nothing special. And what I'm going to do is glue the part with the hole in it up under the flap in the hat, and that's going to be his little nose. That's his nose. And so they called, take your horses up to the lope. I said a quick prayer and thought, well, I'm never going to train another animal as soon as I see how mine behaves in this ring. So that's what I thought. He went into the lope perfectly and picked up the correct lead. I was so irritated with him. So irritated with him. He did perfect. So I thought, oh, you little turd. Well, we're just going to, okay, you know something? Challenge accepted. I'm going to put you in every running class I can put you in tonight, son. You will either learn to run or one of us end up in the dirt. But we're going to have it out tonight. We did the potato race, the pantyhose race, the rescue race. Poles. We did very slow poles, but we did poles. And I ran him in the barrels. And I was just literally paid money to put him in everything to get him out there because I thought, if we're going to have a fight, we're going to have it here at the small saddle club and not at a sanctioned show. Perfect. And I thought, okay, we bonded. We have crossed the troubled bridge into positive land. Boom. This horse is going to be great. Got him home. He worked great for me the next week in the pen. I felt like we was really making gain. And then it comes time to take him on a trail ride. And I thought, well, that's a relaxing thing. That's something that me and my horses have always enjoyed together. So this shouldn't be really a test. This should just be like a vacation for us because he's not being schooled. He's just trail riding. I think he tried to kill me at least 5 times on that first trail ride. To the point where my friend was laughing at me hysterically. Because every 5 seconds I was having to do a stop, let's do a lesson. Stop, lesson, stop, lesson. And so she couldn't enjoy the ride because I was having to school my horse. And I felt kind of bad for that in a little way, but it has to be done. If you let them get away with it, they'll keep getting away with it. And he literally we'd just be sitting there and we would just be letting him have a moment to rest, just standing there. I even had little Liam with leaves swatting the flies off his head, being nice. I was being a nice person. I was swatting the gnats off his head with a limb while we sat there, keeping them off of him. I wasn't even keeping them off me, I was keeping them off him. And all of a sudden, he just wrenches his neck around and takes hold of my leg. Thank God I had on my tall cowboy boots that day. And I learned real quick that he was great when there were lots of eyes on him. He was a push-button Cadillac at a show. Boy, you take him anywhere else, and it was, let's see who survives, woman. Let's see who makes it out of this alive, woman. $10, it's me. And it took me about 4 months to get him to a place where I was satisfied that he was not going to try to kill me again. And then we had bonded. So at that point, I was bonded to him. And I showed him for the next couple years, rode him daily. He was my daily driver. I rode him daily, took him on tons of trail rides, and he learned that he just could not shake this little pest of a girl And he was just going to have to give it up and be a nice horse. Now what I'm doing is I'm just putting leaves in for his beard all over this. So you can let some of it show, but you want the beard to be leaves. So he had to learn that he was not going to get away with anything and that I ruled the roost. And once he learned it, I was hard pressed to let him go because we had bonded so much. But I got older and had to go to college. And he, with his disposition, would have soured in a barn or a field waiting on somebody. He would have gone right back to his old antics. Boredom for those horses are not, oh, no, it's not good. And so I found an intermediate rider and worked with them to prepare them for his antics. And I'll have you know, even though I was afraid that as soon as he got away from me, he would try it all again, he never did. He was walking perfection for that family. And in 3 years was showing the junior kids. And that just made me want to go visit and look at him very hatefully, like, really? 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 Because you tried to send me to meet Jesus way too many times. So, really? He was a beautiful animal. He was a beautiful animal. Normally, the prettier they are, the more likely they are to kill you. I mean, just, be honest. The prettier they are, the more likely they are to kill you. My dad always told me that. It's true. But I was so proud to own such a beautiful horse that had such good bloodlines. And I let him go dirt cheap for what I could have got for him. But I wanted him to go to somebody that was close enough that if there was an issue, I could show up and be like, no, we ain't going to have an issue, son. So that family took him. He was push-button Cadillac for them. Took the older child and then the younger child through Saddle Club. It was great. So, and when I was in college, I worked at a Pasofino farm. And they were like, are you sure you can handle Pasofinos? Just a souped up saddle horse. They asked me one day if I could, can you exercise Picasso? Which was a little fat bay that was worth probably way more than my house is. And I was like, yeah, can I exercise him outside? He's never been in direct sunlight. I don't want him to sun fade. That's not healthy, right, lady? I'm going to go check the mail and come straight back. Look, you can see the mailbox. Is that okay? If you must, Elizabeth, if you must. I must. So here we go. Going nowhere fast, but going to the mailbox. Around the mailbox. He's freaked out by the mailbox. We have a schooling moment of the mailbox is inanimate and cannot eat you. So I get the mail checked. Literally stick the mail down my shirt. Heading back to the barn. And boy, we just pounding dirt but going nowhere. And he's been barn raised his whole life. Doesn't go outside. Never even really stayed in a pasture. He might have dry lotted under a sunshade, but he's never really been out because he's a show horse. I gotta find my leaves. Hang on. And so we're headed back to the barn. And a bunny jumps up out of the grass, which wasn't very tall, but I guess was tall enough to camouflage a bunny rabbit. The bunny rabbit goes, runs off, and he goes, and gracefully drops. And I just step off, and I'm like, horse. I'm holding one rein, looking at this horse like, that was the most graceful feint I've ever seen in my life. Like, old Hollywood needs you right now. Audrey Hepburn couldn't have done a better job. And he's just laying there. Like he doesn't have to get up. Like, lady, I just saw a predator that could have killed me, and you're asking me to get up? Well, he certainly was not going to listen to me. Thank God I had on them like 7-foot split reins that go over their neck like that. I rode with split reins. That's the way I was trained. So anything I rode, I put split reins on. I swung one of my split reins and popped his little hind end, and he decided he'd get up, so I just slung my leg back over, and here we go again. He's going back to the barn like, oh, I'm traumatized. Oh, I can't handle this. Oh, and I walked aside, and the guy that trained him was from Puerto Rico, and he's laughing. And he's like, what was that? And I was like, you got a fainting goat. You don't have a horse. You got a fainting goat. I said, a bunny rabbit scared him. A bunny rabbit. And so what we never told the woman owner that was the co-owner of the barn is every day I took that horse out to the mailbox because he needed to build up his constitution because I just could not. I just could not allow a horse to faint at a bunny rabbit. I mean, a bunny rabbit. You weigh 1,400 pounds. It was the fattest thing I ever seen. And that bunny rabbit might have been 3.5 pounds soaking wet. So, well, then the guy from Puerto Rico liked to challenge me because he knew I knew what I was doing, but he liked to put me in blunders to see how I would handle it. His name was Julio, by the way. And me being a Ray Stevens fan, I would come into the barn every day and make the joke and go, hey, Julio. And the first time I said it, I did not anticipate him to respond because I didn't think he would know who Ray Stevens was. But he went because he was concerned I burnt myself. He was concerned I was saying his name the wrong way. He goes, no, it's Julio. I said, do you know the song? He goes, what song? And I was like, the song. He's like, what song? I had to bring my cassette player and my Ray Stevens cassette tape the next day to work. And then that was a big mistake because everywhere that Julio rode for 3 weeks, he was going, sex symbols. And no. If you haven't listened to Sex Symbols by Ray Stevens, you should go listen to it. We had fun with that song. It was fun. So every Wednesday he would show up with 2 tons of feed that would be delivered, and then he would disappear, and I would have to unload it all. Yeah. That horse must have been Pentecostal. Yeah. No, like the Mississippi squirrel. Yes, he did. But I would get on to Julio's nerves so bad. Well, he bought a big show stud so that they could start breeding, making a little bit more money. Here's where we are right now. This is where we're at right now. Making a little bit more money, bringing a little bit more into the farm, and amping up their genetic options for the people that wanted to, breed to their stud. And so he had this huge white stud shipped in from, I don't know, Utah or Iowa or somewhere. He flew halfway, and then they ground shipped him the rest of the way. I'd never flown at that time. And that horse's name was Fantocha. He come off that trailer with that neck cocked like a cobra fixing to strike, and I thought, oh God, can I screen the horses before you buy them? Because these personalities were clashing big time, Pastos are supposed to be sweet little and this was a big horse. And I was like, oh, Lord. And Julio looks at me and he goes, go lead him off the trailer. I knew what he was doing. He loved to put me in positions to see how I would react. Which, in all fairness, I did to him quite a bit too. Not as mean-spirited as he did to me, though. We just say that right now. And so I go and I've handled studs my whole life, so okay. I'll bring this little heifer to the barn. And I'm trying to get this horse off a shipping trailer when there are like 7 other horses you have to get out before you can get him out. Pain in the butt. I looked at the guys and I was like, arrange them at the shipping roster so they come off in order. I was like, stupid people. The moment I step off the back of the trailer, this horse pulls back and tries to strike me with his front feet. Thank God I had good instincts. I got out of his way. And I turned around. And I looked at him and I was like, son, we are not going to have this conversation today. Number 1, I ain't up for it. Number 2, no, it will not end well for you. This is your first day on the farm. Behave your little ass. Julio's going, ha, 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 ha. Don't think it's funny, Julio. Shut up.
According to Wikipedia, one Tomohiro is the pseudonym
Hey,
of
Google.
a Japanese manga artist who is best known.
Stop. Do I twang that bad? Did I say anything? That was funny. So I take him to the barn twice more. He tries to strike out and paw me. I'm not really paw. He was trying to break my leg. And I said, we'll be back in a moment. And I took him around behind the barn and we adjusted his attitude. And when I brought him back into the barn, Julio was like, what did you do? And I said, I just explained to Fantocha here that if you Fantocha me, I Fantocha you. And he just about rolled off his horse laughing at me. He goes, you're funny. It's like, I'm funny. He taught me many, many words I should not know. Most of them when the horses were being bad. And yeah, I loved working there with him. He was a fun guy. Irritating, but fun. When he passed away, his wife sent me his rope. He worked him in an old style with a pole in the arena, in the round pen, and a rope, which was an old traditional way from the way he was taught by his ancestors. And he taught me a lot of it as well. And I always threatened to steal his rope because his rope was well worn and it knew what it needed to do before the horse reacted. The rope had just been used so much, the rope knew what it needed to do. And I always told him I was going to steal his rope because it was broke in and just knew what it needed to do. It was so easy to use. And he would laugh. And when he passed away, I got a phone call to tell me that he had passed away. And then about 3 weeks later, I got a box in the mail. I thought, why am I getting a box in the mail? And I opened that box. It was his rope. He left me his rope. It's hanging in Haley's room. So I have Julio's rope. He's in heaven right now. No, it's Julio. It's Julio. I love that man. He was my bonus dad for a while. And then my father was like, well, I'm going to come down and look at this operation you're working at. Because I told him, I said, it's smaller, but I like the training here a lot better. I'm learning a lot more than I was at the larger farm. And I said, I'm really proud to work here. And he's like, well, I'm going to come down and meet this man. And I was like, okay, we'll come down and meet him sometime. You know, because my dad he's a very highly sought after blacksmith in the area. Well, in the region. And I can taste that's not my size limit. Roosters are mean. Now listen. I have a funny story about a rooster too, but it may not be appropriate for YouTube. They might report me. Dad came down there, and Julio was nervous to meet my father because he had been told, because he had taken me to a lot of shows around, and a lot of the trainers would be like, oh, that's Randy's daughter. And he'd be like, what's Randy? You know, they'd be like, Randy, the blacksmith dude. You know, because my dad showed world grand champions and stuff. And so Julio would be like, oh, your father's coming down. Oh, I'm nervous. And I'd be like, don't be nervous. You know, he's going to like it here. Julio was so nervous the first time he met my dad. Dad got out of the car, got out of the truck, walked into the barn. And he's looking through the stalls, looking at the indoor arena, looking at the horses. Gets to the cross tie area, sticks his hand out to shake Julio's hand. Julio does not know what to say to my father. He's kind of in awe because he's meeting a legend, in his mind himself. And I'm just standing there thinking, this is funnier than crap. And then all of a sudden, Julio goes, you're your daughter, as strong like mule. Really? That's what you come up with? He had a week's notice that he was meeting my dad, and that's what he come up with? I thought, okay. To which my father said, yeah, she's the best farmhand I ever had. And I thought, oh, that's great. Y'all just continue. Just don't let me stop you. Man. But they got along famously there. I think that's the only time they really spent any time together, but they enjoyed each other's company. Julio got a kick out of it. And I think it was like the really first time that Dad had been in the Pasolfino world. So Dad was interested, but not impressed because he worked with so many other types. So but he enjoyed it. Every time I got a job, it was with Paso Farm. They were just my lot in life. I don't know what what it was, but every time I worked in a pastel farm, and it was just like, I give up. I'm going to be working pastel farms until I get out of school. And basically that's what happened. I worked pastel farms until I got out of school. Pastel farms is basically how I paid for most of my college, my associate's degree, and how I made money until the kids were big enough for me to physically go back to work. But I mean, really, by the time they were physically big enough for me to go back to work, I had divorced my first husband had taken up with the temp agency secretary and left me quicker than a coonhound running a possum. And so I moved back home and started over. So by the time they were old enough for me to actually go back to work, I worked at a couple of barns, but then I moved back home and was going to school full time. And I typed like 100 words per minute just because I was very coordinated and I love to type. And I knew a lot of Latin just because I dealt with a lot of animal stuff. So the hospital one day said, hey, we need a new transcriptionist and we'll train you if you can just meet the speed requirement. Well, I blew the speed requirement out of the water, obviously, because I was typing like 108 words per minute. And then the lady's like, yes, but do you know Latin? I was like, some. She says, well, I'm going to give you 3 history and physicals to type, and then we'll see if you know Latin. Okay, cool beans. I got hired about 8 minutes later when I finished that history and physical. She was like, how do you know all of this? I was like, oh, it's the same in cattle. Isn't that funny? Except for when I tell my doctor my pin bone's hurt, he does not think it's funny and he does not think it's the same at all. I do. But I worked as a nuclear med, a regular medical transcriptionist, and a nuclear med transcriptionist for a long time. And that's what I did while I finished up my associates and started my bachelor's. And then I went into the wilderness boot camp, and then corrections sucked me in and spit me back out later. That's what happened. Oh, you got double yokers. That's a special hen. Treat her good. Okay, so now we're here. This is our gnome. Isn't he cute? All I have to do now is attach a door hanger to the back of his hat. And he has a fall beard and a fall hat, a suede, not a suede, but a leather hat that will repel the rain if they put it on the porch in a drying sun and ain't gonna hurt it. And I'll make a hanger to go on the back. And I can price this for $15 and then recover what I spent on the wreath and then sell the second one that I'm going to make. I'll double my money. Now, I could probably, if I wanted to add a little bit more pizzazz to them, I could probably sell it for a little bit more. But I'm thinking I wanted to make this one mostly leaves. And I'm going to make the other one mostly sunflowers in his beard. I wanted to do 2 specific type. So, is somebody being nasty, Denise? Do I need to snap bad on somebody? Are they here clout chasing? Listen, don't take over my craft clout chasing show, okay? Because as you all know, this is all I've ever done in my life. I never went to college. I never raised 2 kids. I never supervised murders. I never worked at a wilderness boot camp where juvenile offenders that should have been in prison were. No, I've never counseled teenagers that were institutionalized in state's custody for behavioral issues, violence, and addiction. No, I've never done any of that. No, I've never taught cognitive behavioral therapy to murderers for the state. No. I didn't work on clemencies with the governor's office. No. All I can do is pinch this glue gun and do stuff with pretty things. Don't steal my thunder. Because we all know this is all I'm capable of. And if I don't show up with a glue gun or speak the name of Ryan Upchurch, I have nothing. Don't take it away from me, okay? I need this. I need a hole in the head. I have to. So I'm sorry. I'm in a mood. Y'all know when I get my moods. I hope whoever thought it was a good idea to think they knew me comes in and has a good laugh. Because here I am looking homeless and clout chasing my ass off. But I mean, who can resist all of this? I'm just saying. I mean, you got to be some powerful kind of man to resist all this. And a lot of people don't know, but, you know, that's why certain people talk to me. So pretty. I have to really work at uglying myself down to come on this platform so that you all can actually sit in the rays of my gorgeousness. Because I don't want to blind you all. It would make me feel bad. So I have to really work at being ugly to show up here so that you all can actually compost all of my extreme beauty that I bring to the world. And I'm working on world peace. But I hear that there are 53 other women that are working on that too. So I'm thinking I can just work on me for a little while and just let you all bask in my glory. But don't steal my thunder, okay? Because I have power right here in this glue gun. This is a direct line to every rapper that sings on the radio and independently. And all I have to do is push a button. And I can notify them. And they will show up on YouTube and back me up at every comment I make. Because I'm the most powerful demographic in the world. I'm a middle-aged woman who crafts. There's power. I am Shira from Hobby Lobby. How may I help you? I really am a nice person. Y'all picking up on why the murderers didn't really irritate me that much now? Y'all seeing why I work really well with violent men? Would you know how to act toward me if you were on my caseload? Would you? Or would you be like, no, just back away slowly and be nice to the woman? She's crazy. It's kind of where we went. That's what we did. They backed away slowly because I was crazy. Yes. Now, from the back, he looks like absolute crap. But I will give you a tip. You can make a double-sided gnome and put another face for spring on the back and just flip him or do a Christmas. And you've got a fall and Christmas. Now, am I going to do that? No. Because even if I were to do that, people would not want to pay any more for him at the festival. So I'm not going to waste my craft stuff. But you could do that and make a double-faced gnome. And then I just ate him. And then you just have to switch him at the door from face to face. Totally a great idea. You know, I've done a few of those in my lifetime. But because it's not going to bring me in any more pennies, because they're going to only want to spend a certain amount on him anyway, I'm not going to waste my items on it. I'm just going to make a front-facing gnome. Right? His name is Leonard. The next one's name will be Nimoy. Don't know where that came from, but that's where we're going to run with it. Okay, Leonard. I'm going to put I see a couple of gaps when I hold him up. And because I know he's going to be hanging under a tent with David, I don't want the gaps to show. So I'm going to stick a few leaves in the open gaps so that when the sun shines, it won't be like looking at a fat woman not wearing a slip on Sunday to church. Woo, you get a show. Y'all ain't right. Oh, ain't right. Leanne Morgan may be funny, but I could take that woman. I could take that woman. Now, granted, she has much prettier legs and physique than me. But I think I could take that woman in a comedian off. What would you call that? A stand-up, stand-off? Is that what you call that? I think I could take her. I really do. So I'm just shoving leaves in places where I'm holding up the light and I'm seeing spots where the light goes through way too easy for me. So I'm just patching in those little things because these little things of leaves only cost $1. So hey. And I'm trying to keep the balance of his beard pretty good where it's showing about the same of the cinnamon broom and about the same of the leaves as well. And if I think I get unbalanced, what I'll do is I'll cut some of the broom off. Like I've got a couple here I might have to cut off because they stick out way farther than the other side. Now here in a day or two, I'm going to actually be macrameing angel wings on a dowel on a beaver chew willow stick, because that's what dowels are basically for me, and for my grandbaby to hang above her bed. So that'd be cute. I don't know if I'm going to film it or not, because I've never macrameed anything that macrame knotted and anything that big. So it just depends on how I feel when I start tying the knots. We shall see. We shall see. Who wants to hear my funny rooster story when I was a parole officer? Stick. We all know that the meanest rooster. This would be the last thing I talk about. Then I'll be on my way. We all know that the meanest rooster you can have, or the meanest chicken you can have, is just a big Dominicker chicken. They're mean. As what's his name? That guy that plays the banjo, Mike Schneider, talks like this right here. As Mike Schneider would say, if the Dominicker chicken had a finger, she'd throw us all the bird. Yeah, the Dominicker chicken is the meanest chicken in the world. And I hope that AI struggles to understand what I'm saying right there. I really hope they struggle. But I had a big old rooster, and he was a mean one. And so you just know when you see that pattern, just to keep your eye on it, because they're mean. Now, the only thing I've ever seen meaner than those types of chickens was my mama hand-raised 3 baby turkeys, and we named them Larry, Daryl, and Daryl. And if you don't get that, we can't be friends. But she named them Larry, Daryl, and Daryl, and those are the only things that was meaner than those roosters, because Larry and Daryl, well, as I've said, there were 3 of them, so they constitute a gang. 3 or more constitutes a gang. Chickens or turkeys are thunder chickens. They're mean. Oh, you need to run the other way when you see a chicken coming after you, or a turkey coming after you, because they will mess you up. Oh, I could put a turkey feather in his hat. So I show up at this parolee's house, and he lived on the edge of a hillside. So it was a glorified billy goat path for me to get up there anyway. And then, well, listen, I need to ask to see if this is going to work. So you need to work. No, I don't need to go there. Okay. Feather or no feather? Feather or no feather? Feather or no feather? See, I could be a model. Move over Vanna White. Feather. Okay, I'll glue it down. So I pull up. This is a turkey feather. Someone someday, it's been a while. It might have been last year. I used a turkey feather and some craft I did on here, and they told me that they were going to call the Wildlife Resource Agency and tell them that I had killed a hawk and was mutilating its feathers for craft. And I was like, okay, you do that. It's a turkey feather. I sometimes just really hope people run with their stupidity. But, I mean, sometimes maybe I want them to get away with it a little too much just to see what does happen. Okay? I'm not always nice. It don't always happen. Okay, now you stick right there. Okay? Stay. Sit, boo-boo, sit. So I'll go up to this house, and he's new. So I had done the release plan, but I had not been there. I'd been there in the morning. I had not been there in the evening. So I'm there in the evening. Well, in the evening is when the chickens are all coming back in to roost, and they're all kind of milling back through the yard to go back to the little chicken shed. And so I'm standing there, I'm talking to this guy, and all of a sudden walks around the edge of the house and looks at me. Sticks its head around the edge of the house. It's a Dominicker rooster that could have been taller than a Labrador retriever. It's huge. He could have wore toddler-sized shoes and run efficiently. He was ginormous. So when I see this big head laying around the wall of the house, I put my finger up to my parolee, and I lean around and look at him, and we meet. And I'm like, oh, crap, I saw it. I knew what was fixing to happen. Here he come. He might as well have been a Rottweiler and me, a home invader. He was coming after me. He was on a mission to take me off the planet. Yeah, the eye contact, and they look up at them little bitty eyes, they go, oh, you know you're dead. You know you're fixing to meet the Lord. He ran, and he was so fat, you heard his feet slapping the ground. Boom, 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 boom. I thought, oh, Jesus. Wings kind of down, addled out. He was coming after me. Thank God I wear boots when I go do home visits. Of course, I have on, like basically army fatigues too, but thank God I have on boots. Here he comes. He jumps halfway at me, and I had a clipboard, and whap him right across the head and knock him down. He kind of looks at me, he's going, ah! And I'm like, don't you do it, son. Don't you do it. My parolee is finding this all hilarious. Because he's like, you are a country girl. And I was like, I will kill your rooster right now. I ain't playing. You cannot have aggressive animals, and I don't care if it's pit bull or him. You can't have it. And he's laughing. I'm wanting to laugh, but I know I better not because this rooster is zeroed in onto me. He walks back around the house like, okay, I just needed to test you. And I'm like, okay, you little turd. You learned your lesson. No, he didn't. He just retreated for another charge. And here he come. And I was so busy at that point that he almost took me by surprise. Thank God I had them big boots on because he had big old spurs. Like if he had climbed me, he would have hurt me. And here he come, and I just happened to turn at the right point, and I kicked, and I caught him up under his brisket, almost right between his legs, right where that bone is, and just kind of punted him because he was so big. He was like a butterball turkey. Kind of punted him, and he landed all spraddled out, and he was going, and I was like, don't do it. Don't do it. I've handled bigger things than you. Don't you do it. To which my parolee thought that was absolutely hilarious. I did not think it was funny at all. It was not funny. And I said, he comes at me again, I'm going to wring his neck and take him home and make dumplings. I said, you can call the commissioner and explain that to them. I said, I'll stand here while you do it. And he's like, oh, no. He's like, I'm gonna put him in the pen right now. I'm putting him in the pen right now. I had to do home visits. I think it was like 8 more months before I got moved out of that county. I had to do home visits for 8 more months. And every time I'd go to that home visit, it didn't matter what time of the day. I would try to do it in the morning so that they'd be out picking in the grass and busy. If that stupid little flipping rooster saw me, he would follow me around and peek behind the trees, around the shed. He was after me. And I'd look at him like, ain't no rematch, son. I done won. The title is mine. And this is hilarious, though. When the new officer got there, I turned over all my case notes and all my file folders and everything. And I went and moved on to the next county because they had transitioned everybody, and I was moving on to another county. I get a call at my new office, and I'm like, oh, my phone's already ringing. I'm established. I loved going to new counties and starting over. It was, I don't know, I just liked it. So I didn't mind being moved. I didn't mind doing multiple counties. It was fine. And I'm like, my phone's already ringing. Officer Waters, how may I help you? And he's like, I got to worry about a daggum rooster when I go to this man's house. I said, oh, son, yeah. And he's about 38 pounds. If he's a pound, he's 38 pounds. I said, he's hateful. And he goes, oh, what kind is he? I said, he's a big old Dominican rooster. And he goes, oh, my God. I said, you buddy. I said, you better watch your butt. I said, he will tell you. And I said, he's waiting for a moment. I said, we done had one altercation. And he said, how bad was it? I said, if he called the cops, I would have probably went to prison. I said, because it would have been a very much aggravated assault, probably multiple counts. He goes, that bad, huh? I said, yeah, it's that bad. So, yeah, the rooster lived on in infamy. He was a horrible, horrible. Hey, I don't care if they're tough to kill and they cook tough and they're. If you make me so mad and you come after me to the point where I have to put you down, I am going to disassemble you and eat you. just for the sheer principle of it at that point. Just for the sheer principle at that point. Just to show all the other chickens in the yard, you don't do this. I've had one other chicken rooster flog me, and it flogged my son too, and I had to put it down because it was dangerous. It jumped up and got him right here. It cut my hair getting his eye, and I was like, nope, you're gone. Nope, you're in the dumplings tonight. And he was the toughest little turd. But I chewed the happiest a mama ever chewed, knowing my son was not going to get flogged the next day. So, cracking you up. So, I will win every farm battle that you put me. I will win it. So, I like to go to mom and dad's because dad's got a Kubota that you can drive around and go all over the farm. So, even though I'm not very mobile, I can still get everywhere I'm going. I like to go down there and drive the Kubota around. Okay, so I just added a strap of leather, glued it, and added a little key ring here so they can hang him up on the door or on the wall, whatever they want to. Oh, you can't have a flogging rooster around kids. They will tear a kid up. Okay, so got all the glue crap on them. So this is our finished gnome made from half of a wreath at the Dollar Tree and about half of a pack of additional leaves and one little wood round for his nose. That's it. He's got a flower coming out the top knot. It's very pretty, isn't he? It's very cute. So he will be one that I send with David. I'm hoping I get to go. I'm hoping my legs and stuff will hold up to where I get to go. Right now, it looks like I chopped down a full tree in the kitchen, so I'm sure David's going to be tickled to death of that, but I'm not going to sweep it up until I make the next one in the morning. What's the point? I should be sweeping it up again after I make the next one in the morning. Ain't going to be anybody here tonight. They don't care. I'm very good at my craft. I've always wanted to go down to storytelling competitions and tell stories because I had somebody tell me I reminded them of a female Jerry Clout one day, and I thought I could do that. I could do that. I grew up listening to Jerry Clout. Gravy didn't help. Yeah, they're more useful as food at that point if they're going to be that mean. I agree. I don't have much condolences for nasty roosters. That's been most probably caused me the most grief on farm. Now, this is how country my children are. We're going fishing at the pond, and I've got 2 kids, 4 or 5. They're a year, 1 month, 1 year, 1 month, 1 day apart, my children. I don't recommend that. The diaper bill will kill you, and you're exhausted for like 7 years straight. Don't do it. But I take them fishing at the pond. So we're fishing at the pond. Me and the kids and Dave's down there. We're all fishing at the pond. David adopted them when they were 2.5 and 3.5. So we're fishing at the pond. My dad comes out of the house, and the first thing you see is him go, and this rooster climbs his back. He had just gotten some new chickens, and he had got a new rooster, and he thought it was going to be a decent rooster because his last one had not been a nice one. He'd had to do away with it. And the first thing that evening, now that chicken had been fine all day. That rooster had been fine all day. Had not done anything to the kids. Had not even looked at us. Larry, Daryl, and Daryl were behaving. We had a great evening. And then Dad comes out the back porch, and for some reason, that rooster just takes off right after him. And by the time Daddy got between the house, the apple orchard, and the chicken house, that rooster was on top of the back of his head. And my dad was just a squalling, get off of me, get off of me. Well, then my dad starts this very steady walk back to the house. And I said, oh, he's going after a gun. He's going after a gun. And Dave's just laughing. He's like, that rooster don't know what he just did. I said, no, we don't. So, and we're at the pond. We're way down at the pond. And he comes out and he pumps his shotgun and boom! To which my daughter pulls in her fishing pole, turns around and goes, are we gonna eat it? And I thought, tell me you've been raised in the country without telling me you've been raised in the country. And it struck us all so funny that you heard us all laugh in unison. And we were like all over the farm, but it echoed around everywhere. Dad about got down laughing so hard. And I mean, that was a pretty big rooster too. And I don't pluck roosters. Let me tell you, my grandma ruined me on plucking chickens because she terrified me. My grandma would put on her apron. She'd make me put on an apron, and we would walk outside where she had a pot going, and we'd dip them and we'd pluck them, and we'd dip them and we'd pluck them, and we'd dip them and we'd pluck them. But she would wring their necks before she dipped them and she plucked them. And so half the time they were still actively trying to run around, and it freaked me out. I was maybe 4 or 5. It's one of my first memories. I would stay with grandma when mom was at work and dad was working. Matthew, my brother, was at school. The woman terrified me with chickens. She was a processing line in her own, and she was trying to teach me how to do it. But when you're 4 and that chicken's half as big as you, and you watch your grandmother just take it apart, and now she wants you to scald it and pluck it and scald it and pluck it, and you're like, and she's like, hurry, do it. We're going to have to get in the oven. Hurry, do it. And I'm like, I just wanted to go be on the tractor with grandpa. And she ruined me at plucking chickens. So when I got older and we had the hunting lodge and I'd hunted my whole life and I'd learned how to cape out, to field dress and cape out my own kills and stuff, I thought, well, them chickens are so big. I'm just going to hang it in the tree and skin it. I'm not plucking these feathers anymore. I don't even like the skin, so I'm just gonna skin it. And so from that time on, every time, like, mom would be like, go pick a chicken, I picked the one that was the meanest. And there was one time she said, Elizabeth, go, no, not you. She would go, you go get me a chicken and take care of it and bring it in so I can cook it. But I need you to do it because I want skin on this time. And I was like, because I skinned them. I hung them in a tree by 1 foot and skinned them because I hate feathers. I hated plucking. Now, it's not too bad if they're full grown, but if they got pin feathers anywhere, they end up your nose and in your eyes and in your hair and in your ears. And then you got to go in blowing snot rockets everywhere to get it all out. And then you just never, until you shower, you just feel like you got pin feathers everywhere. And so I just skinned everything. A chance. Squirrel, snapper turtle's great. You got to boil it before you fry it. But it's great because it's like literally, it's a whole little buffet of different meats on this plate. Snapper turtle's great. But she ruined me, so I skinned them, and I've skinned them ever since. And I don't know if I could go back and pluck a chicken now without having like bad response to it. But now I can hang it in the tree and take it apart. I think the first time I done that, David saw me. He said, what are you doing? I said, I'm skinning the chicken. He goes, don't you want the skin? And I said, no, I don't particularly care for it. And I said, this way I don't end up covered in feathers. He goes, oh. So that's the way I did it. But my grandma ruined me on plucking chickens. She terrified me. She was so efficient at wringing their necks and then throwing them down, wringing another one, and then picking one up, dunking it, picking one up, dunking it. She had a system, which is great. But if you live in the country, you know that they run around for a little bit, even after they're beheaded. And if you're 4, it's kind of shocking, especially when they're dipped in boiling water and then you're trying to hang on to them and they're burning you. So grandma my grandma was a whoo. She tried to teach me how to cook, but I kept sneaking out and going to the barn, and grandpa would hide me. So I didn't learn how to cook till I was pretty old. But I paid enough attention to know how to cook. I just had never really tried until I got older. But grandpa would hide me. He would hide me in the corn crib so grandma couldn't find me, take me in and give me cooking lessons because I wanted to be outside with the animals. So I'm sure grandma and grandpa had some fights over that I don't know about. Oh, chicken strips. They're actually really easy to skin. The only thing that I have ever shied away from is possum. I've never eaten a possum. And I just can't. Because every time I've seen a possum, it's been eating something else that shouldn't have been eaten. Or they didn't look appetizing particularly, and I'd be like, nah, I can't draw the line. Draw the line. But I mean, if you live around here, you pretty much eat everything that's come out of the woods. Everything that's come out of the creek, everything, yeah. We got crawdads around here bigger than I don't know what. I mean, they're huge. If you can go and, I mean, they're still pretty prevalent around here. You can find a bunch of them, and you can make a pretty good mess. But you got to be picky. You got to be particular and not go back to the same spot twice, and because these creeks are not stocked the way they used to be. I know, Joy. That's it. That is the way it strikes me too. Sorry. Yeah, I had the same response. I was like, no, 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 no. Oh, I'd much rather fillet a catfish. The only thing I don't like about catfish is they're sitting there, and when you're filleting them, they're going growling at you, and you're like, shut up. Shut up. So that's the only thing I don't like about catfish is they do that when you're filleting them, and you're like, shut up. Just give up the ghost. Go. trying to, and it's funny, but it's not, because I really try to be respectful of these animals, but there are certain animals that just, their body responses and nerves and stuff kick in, and so they'll make noise, and a snapper turtle will they'll move for 2 or 3 hours after you chop their head off. I mean, they just, their body is made like that. And so I would always have to pin down the legs while David was trying to take the shell off. And finally I looked at him and said, I can't do it anymore. I said, as long as I can hang at the tree and it does not fight back, I'm good, but I can't do this. And I was like, y'all can clean this. And I walked away. I was like, yeah, those catfish are talkers. And you can tell they're catching you blind. And I'm like, okay, just shut up. You're still going in the freezer, no matter how much you verbalize. Yeah, a lot of people, Denise, don't know. Yeah, they've never seen anything skinned, or they don't know the structure. It freaks them out. Yeah, rabbit's not my favorite. So I'm not a, okay, this is a disgusting story, but I went rabbit hunting one time, and I went rabbit hunting a lot, but I went rabbit hunting one specific time to where my dad was like, I'm going to teach you how to sling gut a rabbit this time so that you don't spend all that time trying to basically field dress a rabbit. You just sling gut it and go on. Basically what it is you give them a couple good twists, and then you sling them, and everything goes right out the end. And if you can do it, if you can master it, it's very efficient, I have to say. But when your father hands you the first one to try, and it's the first rabbit hunt of the year, so it's still kind of warm, so you still have to be real picky about the ones you eat, because while it's still warm, they have a lot of worms and stuff, and you have to really check them out really good and make sure they're healthy and all that stuff. He didn't check it out. He just wanted to teach me how to sling gut. So he grabs the first rabbit of the season. He goes, here. And he showed me what to do. And he goes, now, just right over the shoulder, as hard as you can. And I did. And there was nothing but worms come out. And I know I've got a cast iron stomach, but I went that day. And I was like, and I had to turn away. Dad thought it was hilarious. I did not. That has stuck with me ever since that day. And I just cannot stomach rabbit. Now, it looks really good fried. Smells real good. David ate a whole plate, but I just cannot get beyond that. Yeah, Cindy, I just cannot get beyond that anymore. It's like, I'm sorry, if I'm really hungry, I may eat one, but right now I still see that in my head, and I'm like, so I can't do it. I just can't do it. Yeah, it's a big time saver. Like I was very proud of myself that I even actually got it to work. Dad was quite proud of me, but did not anticipate the results we had. Okay, this is mean of me, but you know, when you go squirrel hunting, you'll normally get you a stick and run them on a stick if you don't have a bag to put them in or a pouch to put them in. Lots of times I'd rather put them on a stick, because if you put them in a pouch and they still got any life left in them, they will bite you some way. So I prefer to put them on a stick. And so we bring our mess back, and we're cleaning it in the backyard by the hose. And I'm sitting there, and the thing is if you kill it, you clean it. That's the deal. So I was sitting there. I was down to my last one. I was pretty quick at squirrels. There's not much to do there. And I had given my brother the hose, and I was sitting there with my last squirrel, and I had my stick, and I broke it into 2 sticks. I hooked his little hands on the end, and I held him up, and I was making him dance, do a little jive. And my brother just looked at me, and he goes, "You are sick." And I was just like, I'm bored. I'm waiting for you to get done, because it took him twice as long to clean his as it did mine. So it was just like, I'm waiting for the hose to get back. I need the hose back. And I was making him do a little jig, and my brother was like, "You're sick." I was like, "What? I thought he was cute." So, but that was the only time my brother ever looked at me like, "You're not right in the head." So I refuse to clean quail, because you clean quail and you literally clean and clean and clean, and then you've got 2 bites of meat. And you're like, all that work for that, it's not worth it. You have to literally have a whole mess of them. It's not worth it. I refuse to eat quail, clean quail. There's just not enough to go around. No. Oh, country life is, it's got a lot of unexpected U-turns that will make you think about the people that can make it, the people that can hack it in the woods. It served a purpose, so it counts. Well, we ate him too, but I just thought he could do a little dance while we were sitting there waiting, I wasn't trying to be disrespectful. I thought he was cute. I was like, hi, and making him dance. And my brother's just like, you're messed up in the head. And I was like, but he always got the shotgun when we went squirrel hunting. Now, I had to have the 22, which meant I became a sniper with a rifle. I'm great with a rifle because I had to take the 22 squirrel hunting because my brother always took 12 gauge. So that's why I'm a crack shot. But my body and my muscles and stuff are getting to where I'm not as steady as I once was. But if you scroll down, you will see the first time I ever shot my husband's crossbow, and he was having a hard time making sure that it was shooting right. And I was like, well, let me try. Bullseyed it. And he was so mad. And so he had to go pull the arrow out for me of the target because my hands don't work that well anymore. And when he passed me, I was like, dude, the walk of shame, Dave, the walk of shame. And he was like, don't want to talk about it. And during deer season, Lane would always come, we would go out to the farm to sight our rifles in, and Lane would always come in the house, go, Mom, come shoot my gun. Dad's messing it up. So I was always the one that sighted rifles in. So that was just my role. But when you're raised in the country, that's just the role you play. So it's just who you are. I'm tired now. I'm going to sleep tonight. I'm not cleaning up this mess. I'm going to make another one first thing in the morning. If I clean it up, I'll just have another tree on the floor, and first thing in the morning, I just wait and sweep it all up at once. I'm fixing to let Oscar go outside, and I'm fixing to go to bed. Yeah, I don't remember a whole lot of store-bought meat in my younger years either. Nothing. I mean, you were very well aware of what you were eating. Thanks for stopping in, Joy. I appreciate you. Yeah, you were very well aware of what you were eating, who you were eating, and half the time when the butcher butchered it, we would still put what in the name of the cow on the packaging. And it wasn't that we were morbid. We just wanted to know who had provided that meal and who to be thankful for. It's just how we were. But you always try to give your animals the best life possible. I missed my generation. I should have been born back in like the pioneer days or something. I probably wouldn't live very long with my health if it is screwed up. But I might also not have had an axe thrown at me if I'd been in pioneer days. So I'm just saying, But I would have been real good back then. Been real handy. David used to take me to help chop firewood, to cut firewood, and he'd be cutting, and I'd start busting so he could load. And you have to be in a rhythm when you're chopping firewood, or you wear yourself out. And David's rhythm is, he basically can bust firewood quicker than the hydraulic buster. He just has done that much work in the woods. Me, no, not that good, but I can still get quite a bit done. But you have to like sing a song in your head and stay in a rhythm. And he thinks I'm crazy because he stood there and shook his head at me one day because the song I sing when I would chop wood, which I can't chop wood anymore, but well, I probably could for a minute or two, but I would pay for it, is I feel pretty, whack, oh so pretty, whack. And he would be like, you're not right. And I'm like, I know. So that's the song I would sing when I would chop wood. And it would keep me in enough of a slow enough but stable enough swing that I could get enough power going but not wear myself out. But that's the song I would sing when I chopped wood. And David always thought it was flipping hilarious. You didn't even know there was a machine to milk cows? Farmers get real up close and personal with their cows. I used to milk the cow and shoot the cats with the milk. My grandma used to get mad at me because she said, make them want to come up and lick they're going to come up and lick teats. Now we're going to have to start sanitizing them teats. Look what you did. And I'd be like, I just squirted the cat with milk, Grandma. Yeah, growing up a farm, you got a lot of talks when you did bad things. So, and I got several because I was always up to something. I was nothing but knees and elbows when I was little. I don't know how. Well, no, I do know. Knee surgeries and steroids is what happened to me. But, yeah, Grandma she'd get on to me. Well, I'm glad Ian's got to spend some time with me this evening. I'm glad we rerouted back around to have some fun and some laughs and make fun and poke fun at ourselves. Lord, don't take yourself too serious. Got to find the humor in everything. Like a guy that told me the world was going to chew me up and poop me out. And I was like, well, by golly, I'm built like a piece of corn. Let her come at me. I got the biggest kick out of that. But at the end of the day, I do worry about our society and where it's going and what we're capable of and how much longer we're going to be able to communicate this ineffectively before we get to where we can't communicate at all. Because my statement that Ron penned and liked and said, thank you, sweetie, was pretty unbiased and addressed to everyone. Boundaries go both ways. You deserve them just like everyone else. Sad to think that some people think they only go one way, you know. But maybe some people learned some stuff, some people didn't. But if we just keep chipping away at the problem and trying to have some common sense and laugh at ourselves when we can and be positive, and when we get frustrated, try to find even more humor to get through it. If we just keep trying that, maybe eventually enough people will come to their senses and be like, oh, I'm tired of being mad at everybody all the time and not knowing what I'm mad at. I'm tired of being in a bad mood all the time, not knowing why I'm in a bad mood. I'm tired of thinking I have to be angry at people to, you know, to think they're useful to me. Because really what? So I'm hoping that maybe people will be like, oh, look, that was a kind and unbiased, well-written response. I should take the time to do the same. I really want to see people start to do that. Yeah. I mean, for what they started screaming at me, and I was like, you obviously did not read, did not compost, it did not compute, or you don't understand the written language. I don't know. But, you know, I mean, people cannot talk to you in a fashion to where, like, it's air traffic control, you know. We can't take big orange cones to communicate. We have to use our words and our diction, but we have to let our words mean what they mean and stop this vocabulary game we're playing where words mean different things now. Because that really irritates me. Yeah. We've got to stop ruining everything that the people before us got right. Yeah, we can work on the things they got wrong, but we need to stop trying to ruin everything they got right just because we're bored or we think we're special. I'm so special. Let me create problems for everyone else in society because I'm special. That's not how this works. Oh, Jim, I'm sorry you've had a rough day. I'm glad I made you smile. I'm good for a laugh. I got some good stories. I've had a full life, if nothing else. I've had a funny life. I like to laugh, so normally I do find the funny things, and that's what sticks in my mind because I do enjoy a good laugh. And that's sometimes I get perplexed at the things that I've been through and witnessed, and you just have to sit down and go, there's nothing just a chance, because in my life, way too many things have happened, and it's not a coincidence. It's not chance. And so, yeah. And I think if people really sit back and look at their life and look at the things that have formed who they are, if you look at it long enough and with an open enough mind, you can see the path that the good Lord set for you to take, and the role that you're supposed to play, and what you're good at and what you're supposed to do. And I'm normally pretty good at making people calm down and think. Normally when people engage with me, they put their eyebrows down. We calm down. We're not up here. We're down here. And we can talk about things. And, I mean, I'll be completely honest. Ron needs to work on that, too. He gets way too animated sometimes. And I know a lot of that is the ADHD. But a lot of it is, too, that he needs to work on that. Because it doesn't do him any favors when he gets there either. It doesn't, if your eyebrows are way up here and you're, it's just not a good thing. It never is a good thing. So I hope that everybody learns to take a deep breath and put your eyebrows down and talk about things. And I hope everybody that jumped on the bandwagon of just scream at this woman and call her names and send her nasty messages, I hope they go back and reread that and realize what I said. And then when I further explained, I even said, I don't think this is going to amount to much for him. I don't think it's really anything he could probably prove anything over, but he certainly has the right, like everyone else that may feel that they've been defamed in some way, to seek a resolution via the court system. That is everyone's right. So, and the only people that can seek that resolution are the people themselves that feel their rights have been violated. It's not the YouTube mob. We can't do nothing, you know. But a lot of people just don't take the time to read the law in their area. They don't know their state's annotated code from nothing. They don't know how courts work, the function of the documents. They don't understand what the burden of proof is. They don't understand. So I hope maybe I sparked enough of a thought process that people go and look at these things now and they put a wrinkle in their brain. So that's what I hope that ended up to be. Oh yeah, laughter is absolutely the best medicine. And normally when the winter's here and I feel really bad, that's when I will really tell you some big yarns, because I use y'all as a distraction from my health. And I will be on here a lot more in the winter and tell y'all a whole lot more stuff. Gemma, my ex is evil too. He's sorry. He's a suck egg dog. Bless his heart. That's not my purse. Bless his heart. He just hit sorry and kept going, just down the hill. If he were a Bob Barker, the Price is Right game, he'd be Plinko. Because it don't matter how many times he had gravity and force. And you would think this is the easiest thing for him to do right. He would have bounced into the wrong place every time. He was a walking Plinko game. Bless his heart. Well, we were married for about 6 years. And that was hard for him to learn. My cats are on the front porch after moths at the lot, and they're attacking the door. But, you know, what's life without a few stories to tell? My cats they've disassembled my porch. I've given up on trying to keep a porch that's pretty this summer because the cats just tear apart. I've just folded my cushions over where they can't get in my cushions. My kitties, they finished all their treats. And we were down to like the last this much. And I'll have you know, Ember figured out how to pop that corner, and she emptied the sucker. I didn't teach them how to knock food. Ember figured that out, and she trained us. And before we knew what was going on, we were trained. And then she taught every other kitten to do it. So you will be sitting in my house, and all of a sudden you hear, sounds like a little Roger Taylor drumming on the front door, and it's cats knocking for food. They go through about 30 pounds of cat food a week. That's how many cats I have. Ask me how many I had in January. With the turn of the year, I had one. My mama cat, that can't mama anymore, will go and bring babies home that she finds. I don't know if she brings home orphans or she's a kitten trafficker. I don't know. I should probably be concerned. But they're farm cats, and she brings them home. They're all half wild. They're about half feral. And so they've all had a cold this last week, so I had to start buying wet food to put antibiotics in, so they all get antibiotics, because I had to trick them to take their antibiotics, because I can't catch them and give them antibiotics. And now, when I pour out the dry food, they look at me like, I don't know, where's the good stuff? So because I had to give them antibiotics for about a week, now they're like, don't hold back, where's the good stuff? And so now they're trained on wet food, and I'm like, crap. So now it's going to take me forever to wean them off wet food. But I had to give them antibiotics. I snuck in antibiotics and wormer. So, and they're good now. But she brought home a little gray one. I thought maybe she was there. She brought home 2 sets of kittens. Like 3 in one and 2 in the other. And I was like, okay, we're done. Okay, stop. I am not the foster parent of no, stop. She'll just look at me like, I hate you. Now, when my daughter comes home, she's like, I love you. And she just loves on my daughter. And she looks at me and she's like, I hate you. These cats will line up at the door when Oscar goes out to potty and come back in. It's like a gang beat-in. They will slap him when he goes out the door and bust his butt when he comes back in. And I'm like, stop hitting your brother. He just had to go pee. They line up to smack him. They're evil. I'm like, y'all are abusive. Stop it. But the other, about a month or a month and a half ago, she just showed up with another little tiny gray kitten. And I was like, Amber Sue. Stop. Amber Sue does not need a job at the border. We would be in real trouble then. Hi, Amy. We've had a fun time, and we made this this evening. And I let everybody in on the little joke that they didn't know that middle-aged women that craft and had a glue gun actually controlled rappers and rappers' minds, and that we're the demographic with real control in this world. Klaus Schwab calls me before he makes moves. I just had to have fun with all the people having a reaction to my very kind comment this morning. It was so strange the way people reacted to that. It was so weird. So weird. So, but we're done now. I'm tired. I've told so many stories and yarns and laughed, and it's been fun. I'm telling you, I'm gonna get me a holster. Yeah, I mean, if I could take this off and get the holster to where it only went from here to there, I could have me a glue gun holster. You just have to be real careful. If you bumped up against the wall and squeezed that, you would burn your thigh. I'm telling you could do it. Power. It's in the glue. And I use Gorilla Glue, so buddy, that stuff does not come out. Oh Lord. Well, if you have the patience to watch it, it'll load here in a little while after it buffers it for a minute. But I just needed to come on here. I needed to get this one thing done. I'll finish the next one in the morning and just kind of defrag after the day I had, and just, if I have to sit here and craft, I figure I might as well let y'all in on my clout chasing craft session. David has a CPAP machine because he has sleep apnea, and I tell him, be mean to me. I put a kink in your hose while you're sleeping. And he just shakes his head and looks at me. Oh, marriage. Angela Knott, thank you for joining us. Okay, y'all, I've got to wash my hands because I've got glue and everything else stuck to them. And I'm going to shake off all the cinnamon broom twigs off of me before I leave the kitchen. Otherwise, I'll leave a trail. And I don't know if David's going to feel like doing a live tomorrow. I hope he does. We were supposed to have the grandbaby visit because David's finally got a day off, and he finally gets to meet the grandbaby. He's worked every day but one of that baby's life. And the one day he didn't work, he was sicker than a dog, and he said, do not bring that baby out here. And then I got sick, and we couldn't see her all week because we were getting over that sickness. And now that we're good, he gets to meet his grandbaby tomorrow. And he's got two little pictures up on his table at the end of the couch that he looks at every night. He just stares at them before he goes to bed because he's wanting to meet her bad. But this is his first newborn experience. He doesn't really know what to do with a newborn. He's never had care for a newborn. He got my kids when they were potty trained and through all the hard stuff. So he got real lucky there. I'm not gonna lie, because they were of questionable character some days during the younger months. But this is going to be his first newborn experience because he adopted my kids. He doesn't have any other kids. He adopted mine. So we're all like, we're dying to see him. Like, I'm gonna break her, take her back. And then he's got these big, huge hands. He wears a size 14 wedding band. He's like, I'm not gonna be changing any diapers, I'm afraid, because he will never be able to handle the pull tabs. He'll just get it stuck to his hand, and he'll be a mess. But then he's like, I'm afraid I'll drop her, because every time he tries to put stuff together for me, he'll get them little tiny screws, and he can't. His fingers are so big, he can't. And he's like, I'm afraid I'll drop her. And I'm like, you're not gonna drop her. She's a chunk. She's a chunk. So, but he's got his grandpa shirt laid out for tomorrow. So he's going to wear his grandpa shirt. It's like a baseball banner. It's his grandpa. He's got it laid out to wear. And I think he's been half terrified to meet her, half terrified to make her sick. But then he's been very nervous and anxious to meet her too. So it's kind of been the perfect storm for him. And she's so pretty. I can't share. I have to respect mom and dad. They don't want pictures out there. But when I say she looks just like Lane, she looks just like Lane. Like from here to here is all Lane, and thank God she's got Kaylee's eyes. Kaylee's beautiful, but she's got Lane's nose, and I can just see the meanness in her right now. And I'm like, oh, she's so cute. I give her my cheeks too. She got my makeup cheeks. She got mine and Lane's cheeks. So Sorry about that one. It helps for a while until your collagen starts to droop, and then you have problems. She's so pretty, and Denise. Denise gets sneak peeks because Denise is basically family at this point. But I can't share anything online. I have to respect Mom and Dad. But she's beautiful. She's going to be a darker brunette, and she already looks like she's 2.5 months old. She popped out 8 pounds 4 ounces and has not lost any weight. Has gained. She can eat, buddy. She can eat, and she'll just open those eyes and look and talk to you, and it's just amazing. And I'm just so excited to get to spend time with her again. I've missed her so much, and I was so sick, and I was like, dadgummit, because David brought that cold home from the factory, and it was a really bad one. And oh yeah, her eyes are ginormous, aren't they? She's so pretty. She's so pretty. I'm biased, but she's beautiful. She's beautiful. I mean, if you look at Lane and Kaylee, she is literally a perfect blend. And and my son, I'm biased, but my son's a handsome little feller, but now his wife is beautiful. His wife reminds me of like Belle or Snow White, or a conglomeration of Belle and Snow White. She's beautiful. She's got such beautiful fair skin and such beautiful raven dark hair, and she's just beautiful. And so she's gonna be a pretty little thing. But you can see Lane's nose, and you can see the meanness in her eyes, and I'm like, gonna have fun. Gonna turn her into the meanest little thing. David's like, I'm gonna teach her how to trap. She's gonna be making snares when she's 4 years old. I'm like, good. She needs to learn that stuff. Good. So David has decided he is Pop Pop and I'm Mimi, because that's what they call me for Che the dog. Che is my other grandchild. And then Haley's got her corgi now, Reggie, who goes to daycare. So I've got to make more stockings for Christmas this year, because last year I had it hanging from the top on a hook, and I tied them all in a rope with about 8 inches in between them. 6 to 8 inches in between, and depending on how big the stockings were, because the dogs are a little smaller than everybody else's. And it touched the ground. So I don't know where I'm going to put them this year, because I've got at least 2 more I've got to add. So Christmas is going to be crazy. I'm going to have to find a different place to put my stockings. So, but she's beautiful. She's beautiful. And I just turn to mush when she's here. And when I hold her, it's just like, I don't know, the world looks different when you see your lineage start to take shape. And you realize, oh, what I've been doing here is actually really important. Who would have thunk it? And that's why I also think the world is not going so well, as people don't look at the world generationally anymore. They look at it from a me perspective. And I've always looked at it generationally, because when you grow up on a farm, you grow up following your grandparents around. So I've always respected the senior years. Those are the wisest people. Always pay attention to your elders. Respect them. And Lord, if you go to a powwow and you don't respect your elders, you would disappear in a tent and get a whipping. I'm telling you. So we respect our elders. But I don't think that that's a big thing anymore. I don't think they understand the generational component to wisdom and knowledge and understanding and the social trainings and teachings, because they don't spend time with generational families anymore. It's just me, and filling that void, filling that ego. And we've turned ourselves into the most toxic nation by thinking, oh, I'm important. Well, you are important to a certain degree. And then you have to realize you're not that important, because everyone else is important too. So you kind of have to say, you have to have a we are the world moment and realize that you're on equal footing with everybody else on the planet. And when you can look at it from a generational standpoint and realize that every decision you make, every consequence you create, every dynamic you interject affects those that come after you. Boy, to make you think about what you've done to either make this world a good place or a bad place. It'll make you think. So, and so many people are not having kids, and they're stuck on being juveniles until they're almost to 40. Like, I've met people that are 35 that still act like I did when I was 17, and I'm like, grow up. Somebody said, oh, I've got to go partying. I'm like, you're 27. Y'all go, yeah, I'm going to go partying this weekend. Didn't you party when you were 27? Honey, I had 2 kids and a mortgage by the time I was 21. I had to grow up. But I also think that's what gave me a great perspective in the world, was growing up. And people are pushing it off so far now that they're never growing up. And I think our society is failing because of that. We've turned into just eternal adolescents, and we don't understand the world from a generational perspective anymore. And it's so sad. And I'll leave you with that thought because I could talk about this for hours. It ticks me off to no end. But women, if you're middle-aged and you look homeless like I do in the end of the day, which I am going to color my hair, I'm going purple. It's going to be a big change. Just wait for it. We were going to do that makeup thing, but with my schedule and David's schedule, we decided to push that off until I got more sleep because I look like a zombie right now. But it will happen. But I am coloring my hair most likely tomorrow, so be prepared. It's going purple. I done warned you. It's going purple. It'll be cute. Don't worry. Well, it'll wash out in 30 days in 30 washes. If it looks really bad, I'll just hang my head over the tub and wash it out like one go. But I've got some stuff I'm going to do tomorrow. But I don't know if David's going to want to be online. But we'll see. I don't know. We'll see. But I hope that y'all understand that you have power in the way that you respond, address others, and just in the way that you take stock of the people around you and their words and their feelings and their stories and their life story. Because people normally 9 times out of 10 will not remember what you said. But they will always remember how you make them feel. And that's another big gap on this social media platform is with interactions, all they do is remember what you said, but there's no emotional context there because it's normally not even, it's misconstrued half the time. So really, honestly, with our own wisdom, we have taken ourselves backwards. Isn't that funny? We advance ourselves right back into the past. We just hit a kiss your butt curve because of technology. Who'd have thunk it? And now we're all stupid and floundering and can't get along and can't say sentences that other people can read. And we have to read stuff from a perspective in our brain to where we're a victim already before we've ever got 2 words into our brain to be processed. And it's just toxic. So I hope things change, but it's going to rely on our generation, as older people, being tactful and being persistent. And not putting our energy where it doesn't need to be. And it's going to be the hardest thing to do to get society going back the right way. But we can do it if we want to. We just have to really want to. So once I sleep tonight and wake back up, I'll be over today. I'll be on to tomorrow. And everything that happened today will be just in the past. I'm real good about that. I compartmentalize very well. But I'm hoping to have a much more positive day tomorrow. But I won't be online as much because David will be home. And I'm going to be having family time. But if I can talk him into a couple's craft check-in, I will make him come on here and say howdy. Because he does have a few things he's been working on. And his leather punches and stuff came in this week. And I think he's getting excited for his festivals coming up, his vendor sales coming up. I think probably because he gets a day off to go to him. He has to put in for vacation time, but I think he just needs a day off. But also because he's kind of hit a spot where he's not always working in fur. He's working in other things that are not always as stressful. So he's starting to enjoy it more. So I think he may have some stuff he wants to share. Just say hi. Proof of life that I have not buried in the backyard. I ain't about to dig a hole that big. I'm just not going to. So proof of life, possibly I'll try for tomorrow. See if David will jump on and say howdy. But it'll probably be later after the sun goes down and after we've had our family time and our visits and stuff. So don't anticipate anything too early. It'll be probably 7:38 at the earliest. So, and it'd be a quick check-in. If I can talk him into it, and if we have a decent crowd, we may do another giveaway. We'll see how many we pull in. We'll try to do another giveaway. And when I make the other wreath in the morning, I'll put pictures on and I'll show you his sunflower beard. But I ain't doing it tonight. I'm going to bed. And I suggest everybody else go to bed too. I have not slept enough this week for anything. So I'm going to enjoy tonight because I know I'm going to crash. I love you and take care of yourself. End your day saying something positive, thinking something positive, sending out positive thoughts, and start your day tomorrow with 3 goals that you are going to meet that are going to make you happy. And then take it from there. And if you run into the brick wall of juvenile stupidity, meet it with humor, but have a serious moment or two as well. But meet it with humor and realize that partially it's our fault. We failed them somehow. Now we got to figure out how to patch them up. But I swear, I'd rather have to plug a tractor tire as fix the juvenile generation of this world. I think it might be easier to plug a tractor tire. All right, I'm going to bed before I fall asleep. Love you guys. Thanks for spending time with me. Oscar got to pee. Bye, guys.